Hey guys, welcome. My name is Fernando and I'm going to teach you how to play guitar. So one thing I know about the internet is that there are a ton of how-to videos for guitar, but I also know that that can be a little confusing sometimes. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have a few guitar how-to videos on my website and on this channel just to get you through the basics. So just foundational stuff that you can always come back to, especially for beginners. So let's go ahead and just get started. The very first thing I'm going to talk about is how to hold the guitar and how to hold your pick. So the key takeaway for holding anything with the guitar is going to be you want to be as natural as possible. So you want to be comfortable as you're playing. So I'm sitting down, so naturally my guitar is going to rest on my leg. Doesn't matter if it's my right leg or left leg, it's just resting on my leg because that's the most natural position. My right arm comes around and keeps the guitar from wiggling forward and backwards, and my hand comes up over here on the neck and keeps it from moving up and down. Just the most natural kind of positions possible, right? What you don't see is you don't see my elbow jabbing into my side or my shoulders holding any tension. You don't see me twisting my wrists around. So everything's nice and relaxed. And so let's look at what's going on with the right hand. So with your right hand, you're going to hold your pick. The pick is going to be pointed at the guitar. And since my hand here is parallel with my guitar, I'm going to keep it that way. I'm going to curl my fingers just a little bit, and I'm going to place my pick on the side of my index finger and then hold it with my thumb. So it should look something like this. Okay. And you don't want to hold it super tight. The same thing goes for the pick, is you just want a nice natural position. So you don't want to do anything that's making you hold tension. So just tight enough so it doesn't fall out as you are strumming. I've seen people hold it like this where their fingers and the pick are pointing in the same direction. You don't want to do that because that causes your hand to have to kind of bump out a little bit, and that is an unnatural position. And so that's going to slow you down in your learning. So you want to avoid that. So if you look at my hand, it's tensing on the muscle. As soon as I let go of that and just kind of go back to a more natural position, then it's just relaxed, right? So that's what you want. You want to be nice and relaxed. Now, as you are strumming, there's two ways that you can get the up and down motion that you need. One is going to be with your elbow moving up and down, and the other one is going to be with your wrist twisting like this. So you want to mostly use your wrist because you get a lot more speed out of it. You get a lot more accuracy as far as your timing is concerned. So you want to avoid strumming like this and use more of your wrist. And we'll talk more about that as we actually get into playing the guitar. So let's look at what's happening on our left hand. Now, naturally, your thumb is going to be on the back of the neck. And a lot of guitar teachers emphasize, keeping your thumb back there. And I do too, but I also understand that like eventually your thumb is going to wrap itself around and cradle the entire neck, because that's pretty much kind of what happens as you progress, because you need to be able to move your thumb around according to what you're playing as you progress on your guitar. And so if your finger happens to kind of wrap around, that's perfectly fine. Basically what you want to be able to do is press correctly in the front. So it's okay if your thumb is kind of wrapped around. It's just acting as your place to put leverage on the neck so that you have the ability to press down on the front. So let's look at the front of the fretboard. There are two ways that you can press down on your notes. One of them is across multiple strings like this, where your fingers look like they're kind of laying down across the fretboard. And then the other one is pressing on individual notes. So as beginners, this is what we're going to focus on, pressing individual notes. You want to be able to take a finger and place it behind your finger here. That means that your fretting fingers are going to have to be arched, or your knuckles are going to have to be curled. So it's kind of like a rainbow shooting away from the fretboard. Okay. Where you press on each fret also matters. So for instance, this note right here, I can get that note on different areas of the fret. However, if I play it over here, I have to press a lot harder than if I play it over here. And that's because if I'm nice and close to the middle fret, the middle fret is doing most of the work. It's holding most of the tension. If I'm way over here, I gotta press that much harder because the tension is right there. It's where the string meets the fret. So if I'm way over here, I just gotta press a lot harder. So try to get as close to your frets as possible. It's gonna make it so that you don't get fatigued as quickly and you can practice longer while you're building muscle in your fingers and also while you're building calluses. So when people hear that they have to have calluses on their fingers to play guitar, they might kind of think like, oh, that's kind of nasty. I don't really want calluses. But if you look at my fingers, they're not calluses like you might think. It just means that you build a little bit of toughness in your skin at the end. So my fingers are not very gnarly at all, and I can play for really long periods of time without getting tired or without having my fingers feel very sensitive. So that's your basics on how to hold it. The next thing I'm going to talk about is tuning the guitar. Now, there are a ton of videos on how to tune, so I'm not going to tune each string. I do recommend that you just sit with somebody, sit with a teacher, and have them watch you tune your guitar so that they can give you pointers. I'm just going to tell you two things about tuning. So when you're tuning your guitar, there are two things that you can do to each string. You can add tension, or you can release tension, or you can tighten or loosen, right? You always want to finish your tuning in a tightening motion, or as you're adding tension, not as you're loosening it. That's going to help your string stay in tune longer. The other thing is that you want to tune as often as you're playing. The reason for that is that not only does it make it easy for you to play along with other music or with musicians, but you're also training your ear. So if you're not training regularly, you're training your ear to listen to the wrong thing. So if you do tune regularly, you're training your ear to recognize the correct notes so that when something's off, you just know it, right? And that happens with time. And so that is your basic starting off point, how to hold things and how to tune things. In the next section, we're actually going to talk about some musical stuff. So stick around for that.